If you're moving to Sandy Springs, there's definitely a few things you need to know about before making the jump. As always, if you're thinking about moving to Sandy Springs or Atlanta, or you just want to know what it's like to live here, feel free to call or text anytime. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you so much to everyone who has reached out to me asking me about living in Atlanta. My favorite thing to do in the world is helping people get acquainted with my hometown. Now, Sandy Springs is certainly a little different than many of the other suburbs that we talk about on this channel. The thing is that Sandy Springs is right outside of the city of Atlanta and in many ways is like an extension of the city of Atlanta. So Sandy Springs has a feel that is similar to the urban kind of feel that you would feel in Atlanta. You know, if that's what you're looking for, if you want to be there in the middle of all of the action where all of the businesses are, then that's great. That's exactly what Sandy Springs is like. And for many people, that's the biggest draw to living in Sandy Springs. So because of that, the demographics that make up Sandy Springs is really not families like many of the other suburbs around Metro Atlanta. It's really a lot of young people starting out a career or business professionals living there in Sandy Springs. And again, it's because Sandy Springs has that kind of Atlanta urban feel. Sandy Springs is not known for having good school districts. In fact, I don't really know anybody who lives in Sandy Springs and has their child go to a school there in Sandy Springs. I'm sure that they do have good private schools in Sandy Springs, but as far as public schools go, Sandy Springs is not well known for having good public schools. And again, that's because there are not a lot of families living there in Sandy Springs. The thing that makes Sandy Springs popular is just how close it is to the city of Atlanta. It's really just outside of the city of Atlanta. You can get technically into Atlanta from Sandy Springs in, 5 or 10 minutes. So the ease of access to the city of Atlanta is really one of the best parts about Sandy Springs. And again, there is a lot to do in Sandy Springs as well. One of the best things to do in Sandy Springs is the Chattahoochee River. The Chattahoochee River borders along Sandy Springs and is a super popular place for a lot of people to hang out. People boating and fishing, swimming, kayaking, especially there on the Chattahoochee River. There are a lot of playgrounds and a lot of parks, a lot of people walking, jogging along the river. In fact, Azalea Drive is one of the roads that goes along the river in Sandy Springs. And so that really provides a lot of very good access to the Chattahoochee River for residents of Sandy Springs. So as you can see, Sandy Springs is not like the other suburbs that are around Metro Atlanta. Sandy Springs certainly has an Atlanta feel to it. And that's really one of the most popular things about Sandy Springs. Let's talk about some of the homes and the home styles and home values in Sandy Springs. The average home value in Sandy Springs is $850,000, and that's really because there are a lot of homes in Sandy Springs as high as $4, $5, $6 million, and so those homes and those neighborhoods drive up the price or the average home value in Sandy Springs. But there's a very wide range of home values in Sandy Springs. I'd say wider than many of the other suburbs around Atlanta. You can find a home in Sandy Springs as low as $300,000, but again, as high as $5 or $6 million. So because of that, the average home value is $850,000, but there are many homes in Sandy Springs. And then the style of homes in Sandy Springs also varies a lot as well. Because Sandy Springs is almost as old as the city of Atlanta, you're going to see that there are a lot of older homes in Sandy Springs as maybe as old as 40s, 50s, and 60s. And there are a lot of new construction in Sandy Springs as well. So the style ranges a lot there, a lot of 3 bedrooms, 2 bath ranches. And then there's a lot of 4 or 5, 6 bedroom contemporary style homes in Sandy Springs as well. A couple of the main roads that run through the city are Abernathy Road and Highway 400. Highway 400 is a very important road for all of Metro Atlanta. It starts somewhere around the northern part of the city of Atlanta and goes north through many of the suburbs of Metro Atlanta, including Sandy Springs. And Highway 400 is the main way that residents of this city would access the city of Atlanta. And then Abernathy Road is where many of the commercial areas are in Sandy Springs. So most of the things like shopping and restaurants you can find there on Abernathy Road. If I had to sum up Sandy Springs, I'd say it's not very good for families. It doesn't have that typical suburban feel like many of the other cities around Atlanta. It's more like an extension of Atlanta. It has that urban feel, but it also has a lot of nature. Because of the Chattahoochee River running right through Sandy Springs, there are lots of parks and lots of green space, including the river there in Sandy Springs. If you want to know more about what it's like in Sandy Springs, click on this video where I go on a tour of the city. I'll see you there.